There's a whole heap of mess that needs to be explained on how to play the forest in VR. From Quest 2 issues, not knowing what any of the controls do, all the way to just trying to figure out how to play the game. I was stupidly frustrated with this game the first time I tried to play it in VR. And recently I went back into it and it was still a little bit frustrating, so I took to online to try and find some guides on what to do, and there still aren't any. Well, I finally figured out everything I needed to, and there's no way I'm gonna let anybody else struggle as much as I had to get to play this amazing game. Welcome in, folks, I'm ZstormVR, and today we're going through this much needed in-depth guide for the Forest VR. This video is going to be broken into several timestamps that you'll be able to find in the description down below, so that if you need to come back to the video in the future, you can and just skip right to where you need to be. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more awesome VR content, feel free to hit that little red subscribe button or the like button or any of the buttons, whatever you're feeling today. Alright, enough with the intro. But if you did listen to the intro, type potato in the comments down below. You're here for the actual guide. Let's bolt into the video. So to bring out the quick backpack, all you have to do is hold the A button down on your left controller. It'll bring this out and you can go ahead and click on different items that you've equipped from 1, 2, 3, and slot 4. You can change the different items that are on those quick slots by putting your backpack into your inventory and combining it with something like a stick. Right here we have the gear, so I'm going to press and hold the trigger on that, and now I can aim my laser pointer at somewhere where I want the stick to be my hotbar. So right here, I'll just release the trigger. So if I take this rock, if I want this rock to be placed right there on my backpack, same with just any item in here. If you want to have this soda for drinking, you can put it on your left side. Now when we head out of here, I can just press grip to drink a soda, grab the rock, grab the stick, or grab back to our axe. You can also remap different buttons on your controllers in SteamVR so that you can have a quick change for slot 1, 2, 3, and 4 on top. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 from just touching on my left touchpad on this Valve Index controller. Well, in here, crafting items, you can go ahead and see your different recipes by putting an item in the center and then looking straight out past your workbench, and there's a little gear icon. If you just point at it with your laser pointer, it lists all the different things you can craft with that particular item. Now, when you have a bow and you have multiple different arrow types in your inventory and you want to switch between them, all you have to do is put your arrow like this into your bow and look down, and you can click the rotate button on your left controller, and that will swap between your different arrow types in your bow. Unfortunately for the incendiary arrows, we're not able to light them. The lighter gets put into your right hand even if you click the left grip. The only way that you can go ahead and light your arrow is by building one of these standing fires. You take your lighter and you put it in there, light that up, and then you take your arrow and you can put it in there and knock it in and shoot it. So to be able to sleep in the forest, you need to build some sort of bed or house-like structure, and then you'll be able to find a save icon and a sleep icon like this, but you can only sleep all the way through the night when that icon is full. And then you'll get a bar on your left trigger that says rest. You just press and hold it until it's full, and you will rest until the morning. So jumping in-game is done by just pushing up on your right joystick, just like that. When you go up to a log sled and you're trying to place items into it, right here it just says to place the log. I can press the trigger and drop it in there, but I also have rocks in my inventory. So if I wanted to put the rocks on here instead of this log, I can click the left trigger to rotate between items, including sticks, logs, bodies, and rocks. I can pick those up, switch back to the log here, and place it down. When you are using your survival guide, you can use your right joystick to pan left and right through the different pages so you don't have to just click them with your finger. So climbing up and down ropes should be pretty self-explanatory. In game, it usually highlights the controls and tells you, but I'm just going to let you know anyways in case you do get confused. You hop on it and then you push up and down with your left joystick to choose whether you're going to go up or down on the rope. But do be careful going up really long ropes in caves, because you will run out of stamina, just like in the normal game, and you will fall off the rope and die. So do listen to your character's breathing and everything like that, and if you need to stop on the rope, stop on the rope. So let's say we're going to place something in the forest. How about this alpine treehouse? If we come up here to a tree like this, it's going to attach to it, but now it's facing that tree, and that's not exactly where I want it. If I am aiming at it and I press and hold my left trigger, that will rotate it to the position I want, and then I can press grip to place the blueprint down. Sometimes the game gets a little bit weird about where it lets you place items, so in this case you have to wait for these little icons to pop up, and then you can press the grip button on your right controller, and then that'll add to the blueprint. If you're part of the way through the blueprint and you want to cancel at it, you just come up here and then you press and hold that trigger button until it's done, and it will destroy that blueprint. But also be very careful on that. Remember, it's grip to build, trigger to cancel. Some people may be wondering how you open the escape menu or the pause menu while in VR. You just have to bring up your crafting table here, and on this laptop here it says options, and that brings up the escape menu. So equipping armor to your body is pretty much the same as like eating food or anything else. I'm going to make this lizard armor right here, and you can just go over it and click on the A button, it says right there, or the B button. There's a little highlight on it. You can see a little ghost. So I'm just going to press that, and now if I look at my watch, you'll see there's a little green tab on the left side there. That is my armor. Because in the VR world, you know, there's still like, there's a lot of games that have a lot of people on them in VR, but as far as like cross between, like, I can come up here and be like, whoa, what's up, dudes? Like, wave at you guys, and you guys can see me.
Can you see my arms moving?
I can see your arms moving. Yeah. Oh, what's up?
So basically, you could like, you know, cuddle me and stuff since you're in VR.
Now I'm going to go over some general tips for the Forest VR. Now I know some of these are just normal Forest tips, but I think there's some things that are going to be useful to those who are just getting into the Forest for the first time by experiencing it through virtual reality. And I know my life would have been a little less frustrating had I known some of these things. But if you want your life to be completely frustrating, I'm not going to be giving any spoilers, you can go ahead and skip this section. So when you first land from the plane crash, your hands are going to be all bloody, and you need to find some water to be able to wash your hands off to not get infected. So water that's a little bit deeper like this, you can come into it, and then you just move your hands around a little bit, and you can get them all cleaned off just like that. So I'll show you that real quick for lighting the fire. You don't have to get into the fire. I know there's some people saying that they were lighting themselves on fire. Just kind of go up to it a little bit like this, right on the edge of it, and then you can back away from it. So you can use some cloth and a stick to make a torch, but you might be finding it a little difficult to light with the lighter no matter where you put it. It's not lighting. If you take the lighter and you put it towards the bottom of the cloth and hold it there for a few seconds, that is how you light it. If you want to throw an item in the game, like a small rock, not the larger rocks, you can put it into your hand, you press the trigger, and as you throw it, you let go of the trigger. So I'm going to throw it like I'm throwing it at the bunny. Boom. And that's how you can throw certain things like spears, those little rocks. Hello there, birdie. Hi. Birds can land on your hand, dynamite, things like that. So using a spear, some people have been confused before and they said they've gone up to something and tried hitting and they can't do any damage or anything like that. And that is because there are two different types of modes with the spear. You have the throw mode, which is pressing and holding the trigger, and then you can actually follow through and let go and throw your spear. Or you have the other mode, which is the stab mode like this when you're not pressing anything. So with this mode on, we can go up to something like a pond here with some fish swimming around, and you can just you can stab the fishies just like that. I can flip the fish. Flippy, flip fish. So now that you have the fish on there, to get it into your inventory, you actually press grip on the spear when you're holding it, and it'll just put it into your inventory. But it is pretty fun to throw spears in this game, even though they throw a little harder than they really need to. It's awesome. Oh, what's up? What's up, buddy? Liz boy. Whoa! I'm bad with spears. And you also may be wondering, if you're out by the ocean and you're trying to drink water, you're not exactly sure how to drink any of the water, though you shouldn't be, you actually need to find a little pond or a waterfall like this. Something like the water down here we don't necessarily want to drink from, because my guy's gonna get all sick and go, shouldn't have done that. So if you come up to the waterfall right here and you move your head in the right direction, it'll say drink. And you can drink that, okay. Now, let's say you want to get some of this water back to your camp if you're nowhere near here. Throughout the map, there are little campsites, and at some of those campsites, you can find an old pot like this. If you come up to these different water spots, you will be able to see it shows a little pot icon, and you press and hold the trigger button, and it will fill that pot up with water. And you could just go ahead and put this water into your backpack, and you will have to boil it when you get back to your camp on a campfire, and then you can drink from that. To put the pot away, just like other items, you can either go in your inventory and pull out your axe, or press and hold down on the right joystick. So as shown before, you can get water from little ponds like this to fill up your pot, and then we have to take this pot back to a campfire and place it down on the campfire with trigger to let it start boiling. You can put different meats and different flours and stuff in there to make soups and different other herbal things. Now after the water has boiled, you should be able to hold grip, and it says you can drink it. Then your pot will be empty and you can just pick it back up again. So let's say you're walking along and you have an item in your hand that you don't want in your hand. You just want an open hand. With your right joystick, if you hold it in the downwards most position for a few seconds, it will just drop the item back into your inventory. So if I have my axe out, push and hold it down, boom, it's gone. Now I'm back to my fingers. So let's say you place a drying rack and you want to get some meat on there. Like me, I just went out and got some bunny meat. You can open up your inventory and put the item in your hand by pressing the B button, and then go up to the rack and just press trigger. Or in this case, it'll show you that you can put your meat on there like that, and you can just press the trigger button like it says in game. Quick beginner's tip, the cannibals will come after your drying rack to try and eat all your meat, so that's something that a lot of people already know, but if you're new to the Forest VR, just be careful with that. Some people may be confused on how to eat a food item. If you open up your crafting table or your inventory here, you'll be able to see a bunch of different buttons on your laser pointer when you're pointing at it. One of them is to equip the item, the other is to eat the item. You want to make sure you press that. So for this, it says triggers to eat. My food is low. Munch, munch, munch. My guy just ate up, and we are golden. One thing you're going to want to do really fast if you get lost easily is open up your survival guide after you've made your house and get one of these little stick markers right here and just place that somewhere near your base or in your base, wherever you feel like placing it. Now you'll see here that there is a yellow flag. So backing up here through the forest, that normal little house icon that was there is gone, but that little flag icon can still be seen. So I can run off throughout the forest and still know where my home base is. When you do place a stick marker, you can change it between different colors for your house by pressing the rotate button while getting close and looking at it. When placing something like the tree platform here, you can put all the logs into it, but it also has a rope point on it that you can completely just remove. If you just press the rotate button, that removes the rope, and that'll allow you to connect different platforms from all the trees to trees with these platforms like this. I'm going to be going in depth a little bit more on the whole building thing in a separate VR building guide. So once that video is done, I will put a link to it in the description down below. Oh, but one more thing about the building, just to save your brain from some hassle here, I'll just quick show you. If you build a custom wall like this and you walk up to it and press rotate, you can put a window or a door in it. Just if you're wondering on how to be able to even get a door in a custom wall. One thing you're going to want to do as fast as you can when you get into the game is make yourself a stick bag. By default, you can carry 10 sticks, but if we get a stick bag, we'll be able to carry 20 sticks. Now to make this, you do have to find a rabbit somewhere out in the wild and be able to catch it and kill it. And then we'll be able to have a rabbit fur, and we combine the rabbit fur with 3 cloth and 2 ropes. Those. And then we just click on that, and now we are able to hold 20 sticks. When building items in the Forest VR that have different structure types like the stick holder, we can go ahead and place it down. Now we have the blueprint placed, and on our left side we're going to click the rotate button, and it will change the shape between the different blueprints. This can also be done for the rock holder. When placing stick holders, if you want to have a lot of sticks in one area, this also applies to the rock holders or other items like this. You can place one blueprint, and then you grab the next blueprint, and you can kind of place it inside of the last blueprint, and you can keep doing this to stack it. So now that in this area where I'd normally just have 2, now I have 3. If you want to get real crazy, you can stack them almost on top of each other and just have a massive area of sticks. But that could just break something, so I would ease on the side of caution. In the case that your log sled is flipped over, you can actually walk up to it and still press the grip button on the use spot, and you should be able to pick it back up and use it. But let's say the handle gets completely covered in the ground like this and it's not full of logs. If you get a bunch of logs and put them onto the sled and kind of come up to the sled sideways, boop, 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 push it with the side of your body, and there you go. Now it is flipped back over. It's a little hard to do this while the sled is not full of logs. It doesn't like to move as much, but I just thought I'd share that little tip with you, as it has saved me many frustrations. Sometimes the lighting in the game can go completely black apart from just the nighttime being really dark, and one way to fix that is by pulling out your survival guide with this little light here. It kind of fixes the lighting, and you just put it away, and that should be fixed up. After you get into some different fights and you get dirty and bloody, your watch will tell you, hey, you need to wash off that blood or you're going to get an infection. And I personally, for a long time, had no clue how I would get an infection or if I actually would get an infection because they wouldn't say anything. If you open up your survival book and you go all the way to the back to right here, this little stat tab thing, it will actually tell you your conditions, your sanity, your strength, your athleticism, how many days you've survived, and how you are currently feeling. So this is a stat page that I didn't know of until after I was 30 days into the game that I needed to be watching and looking at to be able to run faster and longer and still be able to get things done in a proper manner. Make sure to look at this. So if you're chopping down a tree and let's say you're chopping it in the wrong direction and it's going to fall and absolutely obliterate your house. As soon as the tree chops, we're going to jump into it and we can move the direction of how the tree falls real quick. That way it avoids hitting anything. I'll go ahead and show that to you one more time. So falling this way, I'll jump into it, flip it back. Obviously that takes away from a little bit of the realism factor of it, but it could save you an expensive mistake. So while you're here in the Forest VR, another fun thing you can do is go turtle sledding. You can run, jump, and then press right trigger to get the turtle shell to go under you. So we're going to run, jump, and put the turtle shell on, whee, and go sliding. Then you can press jump at any time during the middle of that, and then you'll stop sledding. So it's just something pretty cool that you can do. There are some custom structures where you can go ahead and build like a roller coaster and you can go turtle sledding with all sorts of people and just ride it all around. I know some people with the quest here are having issues being able to add things to their actual crafting table in the center. And if you just like spam click on a bunch of things, that is what my friend has gotten to work so far. After that has happened once, then he's able to craft for the rest of the game. Sometimes it happens more and you kind of got to spam a trigger click on something to get it to go into the center of the crafting table. If there's no audio and you can't click anything in game, you want to make sure that your window is prioritized. So in this case right here, we're going to bring up my desktop window and you'll see right now in here that the forest is the forefront of this. If I were to move the forest out of the way and click something else, I can't click anything else because it actually locks it in. When you click the forest, it locks it into that's what you're playing right away. You would have to click the Windows key on your computer and actually click something else, and you'll notice that the audio is going to disappear. I will do that real quick and show you. So I'm going to click off of here, and now I clicked onto OBS itself. So now the forest is no longer prioritized, and it seems I can actually still move things around and craft in here. Yeah, that's what happens when your game audio disappears. Then if I open up my window here again and just click on the actual game, you'll notice all the audio comes back. So there are some different settings I'm going to go through and change and show you here in the options of the forest to help improve the overall experience and maybe fix some bug issues that you're having. So if you're having issues where you can't necessarily hear anything that's happening in the game, one of those issues could be here with this audio driver. This needs to match whatever is on your actual desktop selected audio. So for me, I'm using the Valve Index. So on my computer, it's set to Valve Index, and I want to change it right here to the Valve Index setting that I have on my computer. Now for snap turn, this is what it's going to be set to by default. And when we're in the game, just hitting the left or right trigger turns that, but snap turning for some people is absolutely nauseating or is just a pain in the butt to use. If we go back into the settings and turn the snap turning down to 0%, it's a little bit slow, but it does allow you to smooth turn in the game. So for the smooth moving mode in here, when you have your snap turn set to 0, if you actually go over to controls, I just figured this out. The input X sensitivity and Y sensitivity, if you turn these up higher like this and then back out, now when you turn, your smooth turning in the game is a lot faster. In the game, if you have changed your settings up here to the legacy settings, you might notice something weird looking when you're in the game. Everything may seem like it has fog on it or it's just really light colored. You want to make sure in your options that you don't have it set to legacy. You want to change that to the DX11, and then if you go back out, you'll see everything looks a little bit more vibrant and a lot better. Now going back into options, by default, this stuff is kind of just turned down to nothing. There's just like absolutely nothing there. And you'll notice things are kind of dark in here, but when you go into a cave, it's going to be absolutely pitch black. Not a little bit pitch black, but when you have your lighter, like, you're not going to be able to see past your hand here. It's absolutely terrifying. And if you want to do that, go for it. You might be trying to click with your trigger and turn these and nothing's moving. What you do is you hover over it with your left joystick. You slide it to the left or to the right. And that is how you change your slider settings. Now, field of view doesn't really matter because that doesn't change anything even for the actual desktop output or the game itself. By default, when building something, you may notice that it looks kind of gray like this, and well, that just lets you know where you need to put your items. If you want to be able to see this a little bit better, you can change the color of that blueprinting in your options. Back under gameplay, this is the ghost building tint, and I'm going to change it to purple for myself, but there is blue. So that's what blue looks like. You have the purple, which is what I enjoy. That's what that looks like. You have green, and that is all you have actually. So you can change the different opacity of it. When it's fully up, it's going to be just like almost solid. It's really bright on the fullest setting, but turning it down is a little bit nicer on the eyes, and you can kind of see what the object's going to look like a little bit better. Going over to VR, it's going to start you with the move darkening on right away, and what that means is that is the movement like vignette that when you move, you'll see the sides get a little bit darker, and when you run, like, everything gets super dark, and it's pretty annoying actually. If you just go into your options and you turn that move darkening all the way down, that's just something that's kind of a comfort option for those who get motion sick easily. There are different settings in here for the anti-aliasing. SMAA seems to be a little bit broken and cause some extra stress on your computer that's not really needed. I set it to the FXAA because it seems like that works a lot better in my case. Even though I have an RTX 3090, that's still a setting that I leave it at. Now, forward movement, this is pretty much just the type of orientation of like moving around. Some games will say hand-based or HMD-based. Right now I have it HMD-based, so wherever I move my head is where I walk. If you enjoy it other ways for some reason, you can change it to controller. So now, wherever I aim my hands is where I'll walk. I can keep looking forward, and I can see it's a little bit buggy, and you can also do one called player movement. So that is based completely on how you actually aim your character. You can turn your head or your hands any which way you want, but you're going to walk in the direction of whichever way that you have turned your character. Auto run is exactly what it says, auto run. So when you push forward on your left joystick more than like halfway, it's just going to auto run. I suggest maybe not doing that, because if you're fighting against cannibals and you're trying to sneak around and you just push up on your joystick, you're going to run and you're going to trigger the cannibals. Now, if you're using a Valve Index and you don't want to absolutely destroy your controllers and get all your terrible wobbly drift on the left side, then I definitely understand that that is a good setting. So with the use physical crouching on, sadly, when you still crouch, your body gets reset up into the air for some reason. I'm not sure why. And with that setting on, so you could still dip down and kind of start a fire for a minute, but it's just going to throw you back up in the air. And with that setting on, you're not going to be able to crouch by pushing in your right joystick. So if you go back into your options and turn physical crouching off, and go back into the game, you can still physically crouch for that little bit of time, get that fire lit. It's still going to throw you up, but it also gives you the option of now pushing in your right joystick to be able to crouch to a fire and light that fire without having to worry about getting reset. Yeet! Oh, bye tennis ball. I sure hope this video helped you get a less frustrating experience with the Forest VR, and if it did, feel free to leave a like down below and possibly even subscribe. Also, my friends and I are pushing to day 100 in the Forest VR over on Twitch, so feel free to come drop by and see what shenanigans we're up to. Thanks again for watching, and as always, remember, never give up. Peace on out.
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night, yeah.